Morning.
Morning.
Marshall film.
Oh, that's good.
We're gonna have to be real sharp on the offensive and defensive side of the football. Figure we give the kids a couple extra practices this week, make sure they stay focused. Got a press conference today, 12 noon.
Press conference. Listen, what we do here amongst ourselves is one thing, but we are not going to parade around talking about football.
Hold on. I'm not talking about parading. I'm talking about going out there, presenting a strong, united front. Now, I'm hurting just like you are, Yost, but the season is not over yet. We did not come this far to just break down and lose now.
Everything's not always about winning and losing.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win.
What's up, beautiful people? This is the 150. Thank you so much for jumping into my second episode of the 150. This is a podcast channel that is situated, developed, established because we do not want people to go 100% in life. I know that sounds like a little extreme, but the idea is to go 150%. And I'm not talking about just a whole lot of hoopla, a whole lot of going in. And no, it's not about just trying to make a lot of noise and burn a lot of things up through a bunch of friction. No, I'm not talking about that. What we're talking about is becoming free. We don't want to scratch on the surface because scratching on the surface doesn't allow us to heal wholeheartedly. And we don't want to reach for somebody else's ceiling because reaching for somebody else's ceiling or allowing ourselves to be driven by everybody else's expectations of us keeps us limited and unfulfilled. If you're tired of being unfulfilled, then you are ready to rebuild, rewire, reframe, unlearn bondage. And this is the channel. Thank you so much for joining. Again, this is the 150. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, so I did a quick word study on the topic of discussion today. And I was a little, I kind of knew exactly what I was getting myself into, but at the same time, I was a little surprised that when I got deeper into the word itself that we're going to explore today, the different nuances that's connected to it. I think this word has a whole lot of connotation to just a static, way of thinking about it, or there's only one way to think about it. We're gonna lock it in. It's every time someone hears this word, it's like, okay, that's it. That's it. Only one thing comes to mind. But which is the reason why I wanted to have a conversation about it today, because several events happened over the last week that really made me think about the deeper meaning and the deeper um, context behind how this word plays out in our lives and how a healthy understanding of how to contextualize or frame this word into different aspects of our lives will help us to become whole, right? Because the idea, in my opinion, is, to become whole, not to be partial, not to have only one frame of thinking. How many of us know that there's many perspectives in life? And so, without further ado, like I really want to get the word off my chest here. It's to win, WIN, to win. What does it mean to win? What does it mean to win? The idea behind winning is, first off, we just look, like, I'm successful. I achieved what I wanted to achieve. If you look at the definition, I'm actually going to read the definition. To win means to achieve victory, success, or possession of something through effort, skill, or fortune. Okay, let's talk about effort and skill first, right? The general idea when we think about winning is that the person that is winning is on top, that they have been able to accomplish something, that they finished a race, that they won a basketball or football game or a competition. They won. Their skills and their talents were put against another group of people or another individual, and they ended up being the one who won with whatever rules are associated with it. So if we're talking about basketball, football, most of your sports, who scored the most points? That is the winner. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's a black and white. It's you are a winner. That's it. Right. So, of course, there's this, this idea behind winning being connected to, an emotional feeling, right? Like, you'll hear things like the people's champ. I've heard that before. The people's champ, which is basically the people decide that the person that they believe exudes or shows a certain level of connectivity with a good feeling with them. Like, this is the person that they believe not only should have won the actual competition, but somebody that they resonate with, somebody that they connect with, somebody they can relate with. This person, somebody I can relate with. They are considered the people's choice. Now, the people's choice, that individual could have lost the actual competition. They could have lost the match, but they're still, for some reason, considered the people's choice, right? Um, but the truth is, at the base level of the definition, the word itself, again, it means to achieve victory, success, or possession of something through effort or skill. You won. You scored more points. You were able to stop your opponent from scoring more points than you scored. Simply put. So we're not going to try to sugarcoat it and make it feel good. Winning is winning. And now, of course, it gets nuanced as you connect winning to life in a broader perspective. When it comes down to winning in life in general, now it becomes more nuanced, of course, because we may see people that are not necessarily winning in life according to the standard or the expectation that the majority of people associate with winning. And we may see that person as a loser, but doesn't mean that they're actually losing. So you just heard a clip of my man Denzel Washington in one of my favorite movies of all time, Remember the Titans. I love that movie. Every time I watch that movie, even to this day, there's many scenes in that movie where I get chills, I get goosebumps, and I get emotional because of, just the energy and the power that flows from some of those scenes and what they mean connected to the narrative. One of my favorite movies of all time. And Denzel Washington is definitely one of my favorite actors of all time. One of the things that really grabbed me about that particular scene that you saw or heard was the fact that there was almost a balance that Coach Boone or Denzel Washington was trying to play in that moment of being an individual that was caring about the people that's around him and caring about the context of how those people interact with everyday life, but also his strong desire to actually be successful or win. It was evident in the clip. At the end of the clip, he said, "I'm going to win." It was almost like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are going to see me win. and listening to that and watching that and understanding, of course, the entire narrative, it makes me think about how we often think about winning in life. And a lot of times you'll probably notice that there was a point closer to the end of that scene where he said I first, and then he switched it up and said we, right? Which was brilliant by whomever directed it, or maybe that was naturally just Denzel, which he's been known to do, which is just take over a scene. But it was brilliant because it really focused in on a human condition that we have to win. It's like we want to win, right? At all costs, there is something that is wired on the inside of us as people to win. If I'm in a competition, I'm not going to lose, especially for those of us who are very competitive. And I'm very competitive, right? But if you're really competitive, and even if you're not, I mean, most people don't play competitive sports to just play competitive sports. I'm just happy to be out here. No, you're playing the competitive sport to be better than your opponent. That's the idea behind competitive sports, to be better than your opponent. You want to win. And so he pointed that out in that moment, but then he stopped and his vision almost was like, okay, wait a second. It's not just me involved, it's the entire team. It's all the coaching staff, it's the community, it's everybody else. So he switched it and said we. Right now, again, the reason why I love that and I think it was brilliant is because we all have an inclination. Again, I don't want to continue to beat the horse here, but we all have an inclination that we don't necessarily want to share all the time, but there's something in us that selfishly wants to be on top. I want to be on top, regardless of what's going on. Nobody goes into any competition or into life in general and have a mindset that's like, yo, I'm just here, or I'm okay with losing. I'm just going to prepare myself for losing. No, and if you do, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you fit. I mean, I guess I can't relate with that perspective. Maybe you can share with me where your perspective is on that. But in when winning comes to mind, the thought is not to chill and to fall back and to just lay down and to give up, right? We all, from those of us who are familiar with the Rocky story in Philadelphia, of course, a fictional character about a boxer who, was basically against all odds, he won. You'll see scenes in that movie where it's like, again, the human spirit is connected to that idea of underdog or winning. I gotta win, right? But there's another piece of this definition that I want to point out. Okay, it says, okay, let's go back to the definition. To win means to achieve victory, success, or possession of something through effort, skill, or fortune. Fortune. Now I had to look this up. Okay, what does fortune mean? Right. So, in the context of winning, to win, fortune refers to chance. Listen to this. Fortune refers to chance, luck, or fate. The idea that success can sometimes come not only from skill or effort, but also from circumstances beyond your control. And when I listen to that, it literally makes me want to think way broader from that general context. So it's literally the embodiment mentally of the transition of Denzel in that scene going from I to we, but also having the authenticity to keep it in that space where you understand that sometimes, and I say this with all humility, and the reason why I say it with all humility is because I have pushed myself in certain directions sometimes that has not been healthy when it comes down to winning in life. We don't control everything. The things that we can control, we do. But the things that we cannot control, we can't control. And I know for those of us who are very competitive, it's very difficult for us to want to even say that or even think that. Because the idea behind winning, not just in competitive sports, but in life, it's associated with the work you put in. So if I put a certain amount of work in, I'm studying for that test. I am working to lose weight. I'm not eating the stuff that I used to eat. I'm working to get my finances together. I am humbling myself in my relationship with my spouse. Or even with my kids. Or even with my parents. I am really putting effort in. The abilities that God has given me, I'm putting those efforts in to make a change and a difference in whatever it is that I'm targeting to win in. And so the idea behind anything outside of that, helping us to achieve the ultimate goal of winning, becomes almost like, is that real? Is it real? No, it's real. We do not control every aspect of winning. We just, okay, look, I'll give a primary example that you can look at whatever way you want to look at. Either way, you can go to extremes on any side, but I'm trying to find balance in this thought process. I just went to a game, my son's game. He is back playing basketball again and football. Had a great season, some challenging moments, but he had a great football season. Now he's playing basketball, and he hasn't played basketball in a long time. And basketball was is really his favorite sport, and he loves the game of basketball. So he just got back from surgery. He had some issues wrong with his ligaments in his leg or whatever, and so he was out for a year. It was a real tough time. He got back into it. Now he's playing basketball. The other day, it was their second game of the season. They lost their first game of the season, but the second game of the season was a team that they matched up fairly, well against. I think that they had our team had the edge, but the other team just did a couple things, small things, better than we did. But okay, long story short, at the end of the game, we were down by 3 points. It was almost like it felt like a storybook for a minute. So we were down by 3 points. We shoot the ball. Oh no, we turn the ball over with, it had to be like 18 seconds left. And then they get the ball, come down. We foul them. I think it's like now about maybe 15 seconds left. And they go to the line because they're in the bonus. Go to the line. The guy who's at the line, I'm sitting here thinking in my mind, he got to make at least one of them. If he makes one of them, it's going to make it very difficult for us to win a game. So he shoots, he misses the first one. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we got a chance. But I'm still thinking, he's probably going to sink the second one. He misses the second one. We call a timeout. I'm like, okay, wait a second. We have a chance now to tie the game up and actually, go into overtime and potentially win this game. And of course, the optimistic individual that I am, the person that I am that, desires to fight against all odds is like, let's go. Right. But there was a deeper narrative that was going on behind the scenes. My son has been struggling because he he hasn't played ball in a while, and our routine of going to the gym and getting shots and stuff like that has been kind of off. And so, he's in his mind now. So for those who are athletes, that when an athlete gets in their mind, they can literally sabotage their own success. They can be great in everything that they do, but they can get in their minds and start to talk in certain things, and they can really sabotage their success. And so that's been him. He's been thinking about all his jump shots. He's been thinking about stuff that was naturally easy to, like for him to do, natural things where your first step, get to the hole, being aggressive when he he needs to be aggressive, being aware of certain scenarios and stuff like that. All that stuff was kind of skewed. And I know him. I know my son very well. I mean, I coached him since he was able to walk. And so I know when he's in his head, he got to get out of his head and just be natural. And he wasn't there. And so he had missed, I don't know, he had missed maybe 4 or 5 3-pointers that game. He had a couple, he got to the foul line a couple times, hit a couple shots. He went to the hole. He made a couple layups. He, had great defense the whole game, had a couple assists, and he was doing well. But I still see, I saw that he was in his head. And so, okay, back to 15 seconds left. We get the ball, call timeout. Finally, we inbound the ball. We got 15 seconds left. Time is they're double teaming our best shooters, and my son Jamar, he's in the corner. He's by himself. There's nobody in the corner, and there's people yelling corner, 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 and I was one of them. I was like corner because he was wide open. And my philosophy is, okay, you could literally go 0 for 10 in a game, and I actually told him this. You can go 0 for 10 in a game. And if you have a shooter's mindset, or you do not lose hope in your ability, then you could actually win the game in the last seconds. You can go 1 for 10 and win a game, and you and everybody else around you will literally forget about the fact that you was 1 for 10. They don't care. Y'all won the game. So that scenario played out perfectly. The ball swung to the corner. It's literally 3 to 4 seconds left, and as the time goes down, it's like 2. He puts the ball up 1, and it was like, for me, time stood still. Everybody's watching it go in the air. It was almost like slow motion. We're watching the ball. Now, again, he's been struggling. The underlying narrative is he's in his head. His confidence is low. His thought is more fear-based than it is faith-based. His posture and everything else is trying to find some type of hope to get to that next level where he can now start building up on his confidence again. Most of what we do is confident? Do you have confidence in or faith in what it is that you're doing? And so all of that is right here is bubbled up to this particular point. He gets to this point, and the ball goes into the rim. I'm talking literally, it had to be halfway down the rim. It hits one side of the rim, boom, 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 boom. And at the last second, it pops out. And he misses the shot. Now, the whole crowd was waiting for that. But instead of the roar, like, yeah, because it was right there. You felt it. It was like right on my back. I was on the first row. And, and when it went out, it was almost like all of the sail went out of, or the wind went out of everybody's sail. Oh, and he missed the shot. And I remember the look on his face. The look on his face was, it was heavy. All the expectations of everybody else around him was on him. His expectation was that, okay, if I make this shot, and I know my son well enough to know if I make this shot, then all else, it doesn't matter. And in my mind, I'm saying, yep, if he would have made that shot, his confidence would have went to another level. If he would have made that shot, he would have had the starting point to a beautiful level of confidence that could have just went to the next game, and went to the entire season. In fact, I talked to his coach at the end of the game. He kind of texted me, went back and forth. And one of the things that he was saying was the same exact thing. Man, that would have been so good for his confidence. Me and my wife had a conversation. It was the same thing. I'm saying to her, man, that would have been so good for his confidence. But he missed the shot. Now, I remember going into the hallway after everybody was clearing out, and I saw him. He walked up, and I saw it on his face. He's walked out the locker room. And, there were some people behind him in the whole nine. There was some other people in the lobby area. And he walked up to me, and he was holding back tears. I saw on his face he was holding back tears. And my whole thing was, I felt like I just needed to make sure he was good. So I grabbed him. I hugged him. And as I'm hugging him, I felt like he didn't want to hug me back. And him not wanting to hug me back didn't hurt my feelings. It just made me go in a little deeper. I'm like, nah, man, come here. It's okay. And I'm whispering in his ear, it's all right. I said, I'm proud of you. I said, I am so proud that you took that shot. Yep. And I started noticing tears starting to fall from his eyes. And I started getting emotional. I had to hold mine back a little bit. But I'm holding him. And I told him right in the middle, I said, we're not going nowhere. We're going to stay right here in the middle of this lobby, and I'm going to hug you. And I said, it's going to be good. I said, we're going to be fine. You're going to be good. And as we were walking out, a couple parents saw that, and one of the parents from the opposite team said the same thing. Hey, young man, you had a great game. Keep your head up. You have nothing to be ashamed of. As we're going out, he just, now all of tears coming out because and I said, let it out. Go ahead. It's okay. So we're walking towards the car. We get over to the front of the car. His mom and his sisters get in the car, and I'm sitting out talking to him. I'm saying the same thing, loving on him, letting him know, yeah, son. And, one thing I remember saying was, you are going to look back. We're going to look back. I said, and one of the things that I'm going to bring to your remembrance is the feelings and the thoughts that you have in your head right now of missing that shot. I'm going to bring them back. And I know that wasn't enough for him in the moment, but I felt like I had to plant that seed. And the reason why I had to plant that seed was because winning to us is crazy important. I'm 48 years old. Winning to me to this day is important. I'm not going to sit and act like winning is not important. It's very important. I want to win in everything I do. But when you really contextualize the full scope of everything that's connected to winning, winning becomes more of a process than an event. It's a process. And so I wanted to plant that seed because I wanted him to have something that he can carry with him to the point of the actual on the other side where, okay, if he does get that opportunity again and he does make the shot and the feelings that come behind that will be great, will be phenomenal. I know that he would feel like, yes, and he would feel more validation, confirmation. He would feel great about which he should. We should feel good about winning. But that level of affirmation, confirmation, validation will not be the thing that defines him if he can keep his mind on what he learned through the process. That's what I'm saying. It becomes more of a process than it is an event. Oh, I won. It's phenomenal to be able to say I have an undefeated season. But when you get to the end of an undefeated season, what have you learned? And I'm not saying that there have not been undefeated teams that have not learned anything. But what I'm saying is the learning in the process of winning becomes when in fact you really want to dig deeper than just the surface, becomes way more important than the act of winning in and of itself. Man, this is it's a challenging conversation. I'm not going to say it's not. It's not, because if you equate that to life, there's been many instances that I can bring up of events that have happened in my life that have literally drained the hope out of me. And I'm sure that there's many people listening that can say the same thing. There's been events that take place that drains the hope out of you, because all of the expectations, all of the aspirations to be on the winning side, to achieve, to succeed in a particular area, when they are stripped away from you, when you don't have any control over the outcome, it makes you feel helpless in a sense. It really does. Like, I can think of bigger issues. I can think of issues that are connected to life and death. I remember when, right before my mom passed, my mind was, no, she's going to be good. She's going to be all right. And for those who have your mom today, let me just throw this out there, right? Appreciate your mom. Value the time with your mom while you have it. Love on your mom while you have the opportunity to. Talk to your mom. If there's any issues you got going on, get them right. Because when my mom left, it didn't matter what issues we had. All I wanted was for her to be there. All right. So honor your mom while you have her. Honor your parents while you have them. But I'm saying that I'm bringing this, okay, back to the narrative. I was believing like, yo, she's going to be good. She's going to be good. I'm going to pray. I'm a God helper, God healer. In my mind, I'm driving all the way down there, and I don't have the resources to do as much as I want to do, but I just made way because of the pressingness of the situation. So, and I remember like it was yesterday that, one of the most saddest parts of my life was when my sister called me up and told me that she passed. And I remember, feeling like, dang, man, like, can anything be worse than believing for something? And I'm talking, and come on, like, wouldn't it be great if somebody that you love could miraculously be healed, could miraculously be turned around and be okay? Wouldn't it be beautiful? Yes, of course. I mean, how inspirational would it be? How much, how many lives would it touch? And it didn't happen that way. And again, we're talking life and death now. So the pain was unbearable to lose one of my favorite people in the world. And it was unbearable. But I was left with the residue of dealing with this tension in my head. Like, man, like, God, I know you're real. How come you can't answer us in the moments that would literally turn everything around? And it's not that that doesn't happen sometimes. I'm not saying it because it probably does. I'm sure it has for many people. I've seen many heard many testimonies, and seen many videos online where things have turned around. But man, there comes a time in life where it's like you really have legitimate questions. You compare circumstances, compare people, and you all hear God is not a respecter of person, that God loves all people, and all people have a fair chance in life, and all people have opportunities. And I know there's a whole lot of nuance to that, but the general idea behind a lot of the population is that we're optimistic about life, and we should be. I'm not saying we shouldn't be, but there comes times when everything that you want to happen doesn't happen. And the wrestling is real. The tension is real. And my thing is, don't ignore it. Don't try to feel it away or try to put certain things on it that makes you feel good. And no, it's okay to go through the process of the pain. I lost. It didn't go my way. It didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. That's a part of life. Yes, it is. I mean, we can literally stop at this point in the conversation, and that's enough lesson for us in the moment, is to know that we don't win all the time. That winning at the basic level of the definition does not happen all the time. And then sometimes winning happens outside of our control at that base level again. But I really believe that we need to start developing a mindset that interrogates, but also investigates this thought behind the process of winning. It's a process. Because how many of us know that you could literally lose a game, a competition, but still win in the areas that matter most? How many of us know that something could go completely wrong, completely against the expectations that we have, the aspirations that we have, and it end up better than it did when our imagination created the landscape for it to happen from the beginning? How many of us know that that's a possibility? I think that's the reason why we hope and we have faith. Faith is not this idea that everything that we believe and everything that we think is going to go right and it's just going to work the way we want it to work. Faith is sometimes I'm going to hold on. I'm going to hold on long enough to get to the next moment. That may be need to be the goal. Man, it's heavy right now. It hurts right now. But I need to get to the next moment. Because not too many, or there's a lot of people that have decided that they wanted to check out, and they checked out. They just gave up. Yeah, people, story after story of people taking their lives. And so my encouragement is to view the process of winning differently than how the expectations around us create the narrative. Okay, you lost. You didn't win. It didn't go your way. Hold on. Feel the pain. Feel the problem. God gave us emotions for a reason. I'm an advocate of not allowing your emotions to control you, but also not suppressing your emotions to the point where you can't be human. No, let your emotions flow, but hold on to the next moment. Because if you can hold on to the next moment, then you become stronger in the process. Now, the moments of losing and not winning don't become an end all be all. Now it becomes a platform for you to become better. Okay, let me take that step up. Good. Okay, I lost this time around. Okay, I lost. Yep, feel it, hurts. But I'm going to go to the next level. Bang, what's next? Because the reality is everybody can't go undefeated. Sorry, it's just the way life is. Nobody gets out of life perfect. We all are scarred. We all have issues. I don't care what background you come from, what color, religion, it don't matter. All of us have issues and will have issues in life. It is a part of this existence, whether we like it or not. And so the idea for us has to be like, okay, I got to keep going. You have no idea how I'm going to keep going. I need to get to the next level. Not only develops and strengthens your what I call soul tenacity, but it also becomes an inspiration and a shining light for people around you to see a better reflection, a better interpretation of what winning is. And again, I'm saying this in humility because even as I'm speaking, I feel the tension that's in the conversation. I love, again, remember the Titans. My man said, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And I get that. I love that. He said, I'm going to win. I love that. I love that mindset. But, man, I just hope and pray that we all can develop that the mindset of winning, not just from an external perspective, but from an internal perspective. All right. Don't want to take too much more time, but I definitely have to follow up on this conversation. I think every conversation I have, I feel like I can go about 50 more minutes. I can go another hour. I would love to hear your comments. Love to hear you all share. Please like, subscribe to the channel, share with someone that you think needs this. Share with me what's going on with you because it's very helpful. It's always helpful when I can hear other people's stories and other people's perspectives as well. Again, this is the 150 podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, you know how I rock out. Love y'all. Live 150. Live 150.